What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 464 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we're going to be breaking down some of the current events, gossip, news, rumors, and anything else that has happened over the world of professional wrestling over the past few days that we feel like talking about on this show. That's what a show is, where you do things on the show. I am the host of the show, Tony Mango, and my other host of the show is Robert DeFelice.
Hi, Tony. I'm so excited to be here on part 2 of the Hell in a Cell Predictions podcast.
With considerably less information than we thought that we would be bringing you today. We will be getting into that in a moment. First, let's take care of a couple things just to get it out of the way. Reminder that not only are we going to be talking about the things that we're talking about here, we want to know what you have to say about these topics. So what you got to do, if you want to be a part of the discussion, is head on over to one of the platforms that you can actually drop a comment. Now, you can send a tweet at SmarkOutMoment. You can post something on the Facebook page. You can put something on the page on smarkoutmoment.com. But the best thing for you to do is to bypass all the things like Spotify and Amazon Music and all that. That doesn't give you the option of some kind of comments thing. Hit the follow or whatever we got over there, but by the way. But go over to the YouTube channel. And while you're over there and you're leaving your comment, you can kind of keep the discussion going. If you feel so inclined and you like what we do here and you want to help us out a little bit, hit that thumbs up button, that like button that they got over there. The little applause button is awesome as well if you are so inclined to do that. Hit the join button if you want to be a part of that. That's basically a Patreon for YouTube. And if you don't know what the Patreon side of things is, patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. Go ahead and browse the tiers over there. I've given you the spiel a million times by now. I'm not going to run it down. Just check it out if you want the dark casts that are Patreon exclusives and such. And if maybe you're not on the monetary side of things to be able to help out with that, or the merchandise shops, which are TeePublic and Redbubble, and there's shops for Smark Out Moment, A Mango Tees, and Fanboys Anonymous, then the best thing for you to do is do the things that you can do. You know, the thumbs up button, as I mentioned before, is something that's totally free, as is subscribing to the YouTube channel, if you haven't done that already. So if you did that, and you took care of that, and you rang that little notification bell, then you're still helping us out a lot. The fact that you're listening at all is still awesome. It makes you awesome. You're an awesome person, whoever you are. Pat or something. Random ass names.
Thank you, Pat.
So, getting that out of the way real quick. Let's address Barry, the elephant in the room. The game plan for this was going to be, well, we're going to run down all those extra matches that they're going to announce for Hell in a Cell because they've only announced 4 matches by the time we did our predictions thing. Well, they announced one more match. One. Now, we will talk about that match, but before we get into that, we need to just vent a little bit about the idea that it's 11:42 Friday night before a pay-per-view, and we have 5 matches. But more so, the fact that they told us to watch Talking Smack on FS1, and it was going to be a full hour-long edition. And Rob and I had the same inclination. We're like, oh, okay, this is where they're going to announce some of those matches.
I expected at least 2 more matches.
At the very least, one. Something. Anything. And we wasted an hour of our time. Meanwhile, I'm watching 205 Live at the same time that this is happening, so that's frustrating as it is.
I feel bad for you, but at some point, Tony, I'm going to stop feeling bad for you because you watch 205 Live of your own accord.
They got to cancel it. Just cancel it, everybody. Like, I like the Cruiserweight division, but you don't need it. There's no point in 205 Live anymore. Just get rid of it. At least Main Event, the only reason why you're doing that is because you got this Hulu deal. But you know what? I'm fine if they got rid of NXT UK too. Talk about them in a little bit. But we're watching this, and we're sitting there thinking to ourselves, why are we watching an hour-long promotional video for college football?
Because it's Fox Sports, baby.
The fuck was all that about? That was such a waste of time. Like, it's bad enough already that you have a whole edition where Montez Ford is sitting there doing nothing. They didn't even talk. I don't know why he was there. Booker T is saying things like, he gets brought up as like, hey, Booker, do you want to offer Bianca any kind of advice? And he goes, yeah, but not while I'm being recorded. I'll talk about it off the air because that's more interesting. Okay, thanks, Booker. You're going to have a discussion about how you don't want to talk about anything. Awesome. I'm watching a talk show. Maybe you want to talk about something, like
I think that the tickle butt here was that he gave advice to Big E that one time, and it became the talking point of the internet for like 4 months. What felt like 4 months was probably just 2 weeks in COVID time, but um, but he said the whole, well, maybe if you just stop being so goofy, and like people just went off and off because it's like, oh, he can't not be goofy. He's Big E. That's his whole thing. By the way,
Goof E.
was Goof E not on the show?
No, Big E not a part of this episode.
How do you do that?
I was filling out my superstars missing from the card section of my wrestling news post previewing the event, and I was like, oh, look at this. After the draft, we have no feud for Big E. He wasn't on the show. No feud for King Corbin. He wasn't on the show. No feud set for Sheamus, really. No feud going on for this guy. No feud for this guy. No feud for that guy. No feud for this woman. Just kind of like...
What woman?
Yeah, any of them. I mean, even Bianca. It's like, well, she's not feuding with anybody. She's just going to beat Zelina Vega again.
What women do they have, Tony? Carmella hasn't been seen since she was revealed as the
not showing
woman.
Her at all. But the tag team division apparently is heating up on SmackDown, according to Cole and Corey Graves. Right. They've got 4 tag teams now. Well, they've got 3 tag teams and one pairing. Let's pair ourselves up for a little bit. But man, this Talking Smack thing, it just got under my skin because I was just like, I'm watching a show that you're telling me to watch, and literally all you're doing is having like, hey, Stone Cold, which people do you really like in college football? Oh, I like this guy, I like that guy, whatever. Hey, it's awesome, you're Stone Cold. It's like, if I wanted to watch...
Is that not what you would do?
If I wanted to watch a show about people talking about other sports, I'd watch the other fucking sports. I don't watch football, I don't watch baseball, I don't watch whatever, and that's not what I'm watching Talking Smack for. I don't watch a WWE show to hear about NASCAR. I watch it for WWE. It's like watching I'm gonna pop in like an episode of the Justice League and be like, all right, I'm getting ready for some Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and whatever action. Can't wait to see what Julia Child cooks up on this episode. It's like, exactly. It's just like, that's not what I'm going for here. I don't give a shit about if Booker T is having some fake argument with whoever the hell that was.
That in a battle royal at some point. David Ortiz.
Don't even know the guy. That's how little I know about these things. It's like...
I can tell you that the fact that they ran that back twice in a week means they're probably going to try to do something with that at some point.
Well, Cain Velasquez never won that Royal Rumble, so who knows?
Thank God.
Yeah, well, that would have been a great way to start off this year, the way that this year's gone, right? But man, I'm just... I'm annoyed that I wasted an hour on that and that I didn't get anything out of it. Anything at all. Daniel Bryan goes, yeah, I'm kind of like towards the end of my career. And it's like, yeah, we figured that. And everybody else is like, well, did you see what happened on SmackDown? Yeah, I just fucking watched it.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about that Daniel Bryan thing. I don't think Daniel Bryan has done nearly enough to warrant this being the end of his career. I'm not Daniel Bryan. Like, I get it. Like, dude's put himself through a lot, but he can do so much more. And I kind of feel like the fact that he's already winding down sucks. Like...
Well, he said that he considers this his last sort of run as a main roster type of guy.
As a full-time guy.
Yeah, so, I mean, how long have we had, like, Triple H and The Undertaker and some other people that they hung around and they weren't all the time around there? But you got to imagine, too, a lot of these people, I don't know if they're really even taking this into consideration or not, but it's like, well, you haven't been doing house shows. Like, this has been a lot easier, I'm sure,
Yeah.
Like, Tommaso Ciampa's like, oh, I can't go to the main roster because I wouldn't want to be doing the traveling and whatever. I don't have it in me. Well, you go there once a week. You're fine,
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm just annoyed about the Talking Smack thing. I needed to get that out of...
Listen, it was dumb because they're dumb. Because we're preconditioned. You and I, when I say we, I don't mean fans. I mean you and I are preconditioned to have to tune into every fucking show And we complain about this all the time because it's tedious for us. But we have to tune into everything. I will say this. Paul Heyman was asked during a promo about Roman Reigns, hey, what makes a good Paul Heyman guy? And that turned into like, hey, Booker, who was the only guy to turn down the Turner money and take an opportunity on himself in WWE? And he's like, yeah, that was me. Thank you. Like, you ever... Oh, God, I almost want to be careful. Listen, anybody who knows me, you know I don't mean anything bad, but does you ever just go to a dog and go, who's a good boy? And the dog's tail starts wagging, like, I'm a good boy. Like, that's what that was for me.
Which is kind of funny because Booker set him up by saying, like, your hypocrisy knows no bounds.
And then Brian did the same thing. He's like, yo, I loved Harlem Heat, but your TV title run, oh, that was where I knew you were a star. And he's just like, thank you. It was very like love on Booker T
Yeah.
night on Talking Smack.
They're like, tune in for Talking Smack. It's going to be a full hour of who's the goodest boy.
Who's the goodest boy?
Who's a 5-time goodest boy? Even though he's a 6-time. But yeah, that's the thing. We might as well talk about something positive to kind of spin out of that a little bit. We're going to go bouncing around between positives and negatives here. Actually, more so negatives, looking at this list of topics. But hey, that's what happens each and every week. That ends up coming up with those kind of stories. Let's talk about a positive, and this is going to cut into the idea of us reviewing the shows themselves, but we don't have to go like, hey, now we're going to talk about AEW and this thing, whatever. Tonight we had that other match that was announced was that Otis. Well, I'll set it up this way. We got Law and Otis.
Amazing.
Which is great. And that was this whole, if you missed it, then go back and check out some of the segments. They'll probably put it up on YouTube as like its own thing. We had the courtroom with The Miz, John Morrison, and some random woman as their lawyer. I didn't recognize her. I don't think that was supposed to, really. And Otis is there by himself. He's defending himself. The bailiff is Ron Simmons. The stenographer is Teddy Long.
Yeah.
And the courtroom judge is JBL. And it's already going to go on my list as one of the potential candidates for the best like supporting cameo type of characters throughout the year. Fun segment, just stupid, silly nonsense. The way that, like, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's okay, it's usually bad. That kind of thing. This was funny. I liked it. It was stupid, but it was funny stupid. And I liked how, like, for instance, it starts off and it's like The Miz is talking about how, well, when you're the Mr. Money in the Bank, you have to hold up this level of, like, prestige. And as a former Mr. Money in the Bank myself, like, Otis doesn't do this thing. It's proper justice and whatever. And Otis's defense is, I deserve to be Mr. Money in the Bank because I won the Money in the Bank. It's like the lawyer goes, "That's a good point." Yeah, I liked it. Like, and they fire her because she said, like, "Oh, that's a good argument."
If you think about it, the fact that Miz is like, you are being negligent because you haven't talked about Money in the Bank, and he's like, yeah, but I won Money in the Bank, and then you get was it Rey? That was like, well, Your Honor, he did win Money in the Bank, so
yeah. Rey's just like, he won fair and square, so he's Mr. Money in the Bank. He deserves it. And
then you get Asuka.
Asuka says whatever she says in Japanese, and they're like, did you catch any of that? And Teddy Long somehow got every word of it. John Morrison, of course, is talking about, like, all the scars that he still has that lingering from what Otis has done to them. And
probably the best thing about this was JBL, who said, listen, I've let you interrupt this entire thing, and you're saying unsafe work environment like we're wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like, that's a job description. And then Miz is like, wait a minute, you're going to want to see this. And he hands him a briefcase full of money, at which point JBL decrees Otis will defend his Money in the Bank at Hell in a Cell against The Miz, and There's only one answer for this, and it's The Miz wins. The Miz has to win.
I'm going Otis wins.
Miz has to win.
I think that this is just a means to go, all right, it's officially over with. Otis retains, that kind of thing. Because Miz challenging Drew McIntyre, I don't think it's a big splash. I think Otis challenging Roman, they can get something out of it more.
No. Miz should win.
Just no.
All right, Alec, look, I am a big Miz fan.
Yeah, me too.
You're gonna laugh at this comparison, but I genuinely think that The Miz is what would happen if in 1998 they put the belt on The Rock. Same way, Survivor Series, sharpshooter, ring the bell. You know, you go to WrestleMania 15, he loses it to Austin, and then the very next night on Raw, Hogan and Brett come back, and everybody's like, oh, well, we don't need The Rock anymore. And Rock fucks off for the rest of his career. That's what happened to The Miz. There's no reason that The Miz shouldn't get another shot at the world title. I think he deserves it, and I hope he gets it through this match.
I am all for Miz winning another world championship. The Miz, I think, is kind of like that cross between MJF and Chris Jericho. We'll talk about the dinner segment when we talk about AEW later too, by the way. But like you're saying like that's what you think like the Miz kind of is in comparison to The Rock. I think the Miz is basically what you get when you get Chris Jericho without training the same way that Chris Jericho trained. Because people that don't like the Miz, they typically say it's because they don't think that he's as good of an in-ring worker. What's really separating the Miz and Jericho other than the in-ring stuff? The Miz is a, totally fine wrestler, but it's like, yeah, between the two, Jericho's a better in-ring worker. They're both like great characters. They both know how to work things. Jericho's a better babyface. You got that. The Miz isn't as good of a babyface, but he knows how to switch up his act a little bit, and he can stay fresh and everything, so. But I don't think that it's going to happen. I think that Otis is just going to retain here, and that's just going to be it. But that's the only match that we got added to the card. Nothing else for Hell in a Cell, which means not only does WWE not care about all the other matches that they're going to add because they don't think that would actually sell anything. It's just like, people are going to tune in because we announced these Hell in a Cell matches. The other stuff, it's just there to fill time. But it also means that they probably have no plan for any of it anyway, and they're going to figure it out tomorrow. And we'll announce it on the day of the pay-per-view, which really sucks because it's just like, not a big fan of the day before a pay-per-view or the night before or the morning before or whatever being like, here's 3 more matches and we just decided to announce them, especially when we know that they're not going to be worthwhile. It's going to be crap like Street Profits against Ziggler and Rude in a rematch. Oh, Billy Kay is going to lose to Bianca Belair. Seth Rollins and Murphy against each other again or whatever. Yeah, it's just going to be garbage. So I'm not a fan of that. And I apologize in advance for how down I am when it comes to the pay-per-view post-show, when it comes to those matches at the very least. Unless they're surprising. I mean, maybe, well, I was going to say maybe they'll surprise me. They won't. So, fair. Yeah, they'll surprise me in some ways, but I'm not saying that they'll surprise me in like a super happy-go-lucky, this is awesome way. Just kind of like, wow, I didn't think that they'd go that weird direction or, But I did like Law and Otis. That was fun. I actually liked this episode of SmackDown overall.
I did as well. I will say one thing about Law and Otis. I know it was a pre-taped segment. Maybe it was even taped weeks ago.
Might have been, but yeah.
One thing I did not like, what a perfect time to have Teddy Long demand a tag team match. Like, even if you had to cut him off and go, no, you can't do that. But, like, he should have just made a tag team match.
I don't know where this ranks on the list of, like, random comedy segment things, but it did its job. So, thumbs up for me. We'll talk more SmackDown stuff a little bit later on. Let's kind of go backward a little bit. And let's loop in Monday Night Raw talk with the first thing to talk about on Raw, which is the new theme song. Not a fan.
Not great.
Now, I'll preface that by saying, or not even preface, because I already said I'm not a fan. I can't really preface something if you already got into it.
We'll follow it up.
Yeah, I'll follow that up with a little clarification. The song itself, as a song on its own, it's fine.
It's not a wrestling song.
It's not the type of song that I might end up downloading. I might not. I mean, I don't know. Over time, if I hear it enough, I might just be like, it's okay. It's not catchy enough. But most importantly, the problem I have with it is it has zero flow and energy to be the intro song for a show like Monday Night Raw. It is just not a fitting fit. Like, you listen to the old episodes of going back to, 93 and such, they had a variety of different feels to them, but they all felt like they could go realistically into this type of show. Like, I'm not a fan of the Beautiful People. I think that I don't
They did have that, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that song as it is. I'm not a fan of any kind of song that it seems like the point that they're trying to get across is that they're angry and that there's nothing else. Like, I don't like screamo. I don't like whatever. So the whole like any of that. I hate like the NXT songs, for instance.
You like the Attitude Era one, right? The
I have no clue what song you're singing
the
right there.
Attitude Era song,
See, I like We're All Together Now.
That
that kind of thing, and then it's like, rock and roll is like fighting in the rain, that kind of thing. I thought that worked really well. I liked Thorn in Your Eye.
The combination of the two.
Yeah.
Where it's the guitar. Yeah, so you like that. So you like some angry stuff. They're angry.
But I feel like that's like they're like kind of like singing the song instead of some other ones where people are just kind of shouting.
Oh, it's just like, okay, yeah, I guess I can take that.
The Beautiful People, that the whole like being creepy too. It's not my thing, but it felt like it fit still, even though I didn't like it. That's to kind of show off the idea of me being like, look, it's not just a matter of if I don't like it, then it doesn't fit. No, if I don't like it, but it fits, I get it. To me, like, Burn It to the Ground, great theme for Raw. One of my favorite ones. People make fun of Nickelback all the time, but I'm like, that was catchy, and it was like, it got you pumped up,
One of my least favorite, because when I hear it, I think celebrity guest host. So, like, I just don't define it with a good era of Raw. Like, Tonight Is the Night, I thought was objectively the worst until this theme song.
I like To Be Loved. I just wanna be loved. Like, whoa, we got a fucking wrestling show. Whoa, like, that kind of thing. But this one is just sort of like, hey, I'm in. This is, I'm talking about this and that. Yeah, yeah, whatever. Yeah, all right. And then it's like you cut from that into like, welcome everybody to Monday Night Raw. What? It
doesn't have the vibe of like, let's do this. And like, it's not a rap thing, because like some rap songs work well. It's just
and some
doesn't.
Rap songs that would be like this would work for other things too. Like, I feel like even this song, if you put this on like a generic, like, I don't know, an NBA thing or a hockey thing or something like that could work maybe. A football thing maybe, and a UFC thing maybe even. Because the UFC, from what I've seen, it's not like, oh, we got pyro and we're going to be like, welcome everybody to this big 3-hour action-packed spectacle of whatever. I've been, I mentioned this before in the Darkcast and everything. I've been very much into like nostalgia lately, where I've had Power Rangers on my mind recently. I've been working on this Power Ranger blueprint. And one of the things that was the best thing about Power Rangers, one of the best things, if not the best thing, the theme song is amazing.
Go Power Ranger.
And you got that fucking guitar riff and everything, and it's just like, you can't not listen to that and get pumped up, because it's just, when you got that, like, the drums, and you got like that, the guitar and everything like that, it gets you psyched up for the Power Rangers to go kick some ass. Now, I love the theme for Westworld, and it's that very like eerie piano. If you swap those two, it's jarring. I would never imagine that Westworld would go into, like a pre-credit sequence of people talking about like, the manifestation of consciousness, and then go into like, I'd be like, what? This is kind of weird. Nor would I expect this calm theme of that to turn into Alpha 5 being like, yeah, kind of whatever. This song could work well for so many things. It is awful for the start of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, so that was a great way to start off Raw with this new era of being like, shit, we're gonna have to that be like,
or at the very least, change the intro a little bit. Like, it's still the very same intro that they did for the Skillet song, which was fine, by the way. We didn't even talk about that one. That was fine. Like,
the one
I
that was just
felt
before
like
this one.
Yeah, it was a good one when they did Shinedown in 2016. Or the Enemies, the one that they did for the more recent brand split when they first did it. That got me so hyped. Like, I thought, okay, cool, we're going into an era of Raw where like it'll be high energy again.
How was that one again? I don't remember offhand.
We've clearly established that I'm bad at doing these things, so I'm not gonna
You'll
try
be
to
like
do it
doop
again.
doop 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 doop. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-la-la-la-la. 10 points if anybody gets what that is.
But I'll play it once for off this thing. But yeah, it was a great theme song. This ain't it, or at least like you have to redo the intro.
Just
because
like pump up the tempo a little bit or something, because I don't know. I mean, the show drags as it is. And if you got just like somebody droning, I mean, I wrote it on the one thing, I think it was on Money Wrestling News, might have been on Smark at the moment, where I said, this is the type of thing that you overhear somebody singing to themselves in the subway and you just block it out.
I might have to listen to the or check out the intro again, because I heard it once. I remember I was actually voice messaging you at the time.
Yeah.
And I was doing something else, and I literally stopped. I went, "Why did that suck?"
Not a fan of that. I said that I liked this week's episode of SmackDown. I'm trying to remember what happened on Raw, but I don't remember being all that impressed. We talked a little bit about some of this stuff already on our predictions for Hell in a Cell, so go back and check that out if you didn't check that out already. Like, I mean, Retribution started off things with the Hurt Business again. The Fiend's a part of that in some fashion. It doesn't seem like there's really a full-on direction. But
so I don't feel like that's more than an angle that will go a week. I feel like that was just an angle to go, wow, look at all these cool parts acting together.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm still holding on to that idea that I think that Bray Wyatt is going to attack Drew McIntyre after Hell in a Cell. And
I think he's going for Randy.
He could go for Randy too. And that could be like, whether or not the championship is for whatever. I mean, they could do like Bray Wyatt versus Randy for or not for the championship, especially if McIntyre is the champion, Could do Drew versus the Roman Reigns and then Randy and Bray Wyatt separate in a different feud or something. Yeah.
So like, I'm a bit of a dunce for certain things, but he was pulling the shit out of the moving box, Bray Wyatt, at the Firefly Funhouse. That was like a double crossing thing, right? That was like that's what that was, that other thing. Because you pulled out the sheep mask, the mallet, and then it was something else. What was that?
I don't even know if I noticed that, actually.
I'm gonna pull up the video on YouTube because we're gonna dissect this thing.
So all I remember from that is that Rambling Rabbit has a family.
You know what? I think that's nice.
Yeah, cute little Rambling Rabbit, and
he's died like 7 times.
Yeah, well, you got to figure they got to do something with the insurance money, and hate me too. Leave a comment below. And we got Alexa Bliss in there. She's just, she's full blown doing the Harley Quinn thing. But
I wasn't a big fan of her in the Funhouse. Like, she needs to let go of the hypnotized thing and be a little more like just bubbly when she's in the Funhouse.
Yeah. They're working on it.
Yeah, she'll get there.
Somebody who changed their career path a little bit is big old Jordan. I still don't know how to pronounce his last name. Omogbian.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He's big, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they went with that though instead of Big Jordan.
Babatunde is also big. Maybe they didn't want to get people confused.
Big Babatunde. Big Dabakato. Yeah, well, Jordan, whatever his last name is, sorry, don't know, Jordan O. He is back to being just his name, not being Big Jordan, and he is now AJ Styles' enforcer, which is, I kind of like it. I didn't like how they did it because they had him distract Matt Riddle just by standing there, but I like the idea of him being an enforcer.
Matt Riddle looks like a bitch.
Not the best look for Matt Riddle. Then again, he's had worse looks.
I flat out said, I don't mind it only because you're giving the people what they want. So at the very least, whatever. But he scurrying away from him, just raising his hand, just seemed like such a bitch move.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the pairing. AJ's 43, which was the answer I was given when I asked, why this? The response I was given was, well, he's 43. He needs a heater. Okay, fine. But this pairing doesn't fit.
I don't know if it will or not. I'm willing to give it a chance, but I like the idea that Jordan's doing something.
He's been doing a lot of things for Tony. He's been a ninja, he's been a bouncer, and now he's a bodyguard. This man has done a lot of things.
COVID has been hitting people real tough. You got to find a job anywhere you can.
Where's the dumpster monster from Backlash?
I don't know. Yeah, where is that dumpster monster? We need to have that as some milk carton somewhere. A weird fucking year. I hate this year in so many ways. Let's talk about Asuka beats Lana. No.
Bro, this is such bullshit. Look, I'm not gonna be one of those people who goes, she's getting punished for Rusev leaving, but come on. You couldn't at least do this on the pay-per-view.
I don't know why they didn't.
Come on.
Why not have Asuka versus Lana on the pay-per-view when you don't have any other matches in that capacity? The same thing for the fact that we got Baszler and Jax afterward. They put Lana through a table again because LOL. And then they started attacking Asuka as well. They called out for everybody else, essentially. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke came out. Riot Squad came out despite the fact that they are on SmackDown, and it serves no purpose for the draft if they can just go back and forth. But again, they established that well in advance. And Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce decided that they wanted to have a tag team that they didn't really want to have. And the women's tag team champions beat all of them. So you couldn't have done that on the pay-per-view either? You just did 2 matches that you could have done on the pay-per-view.
Because you could have just done the Shayna and Nia Invitational.
Right.
They come out, they lose. On to the next.
Yeah, they could have done that very easily, and they could have, maybe they go, well, that wouldn't sell anything for a pay-per-view. Well, if you put it out there as Jax and Baszler have an invitational, and let's see who's going to get the match, people might tune in. But if you think that that's not going to sell anything, then why do you have it on the show? And if you go, well, they put it on Monday Night Raw because they thought that it would get people to tune in, they didn't advertise it in advance, so nobody would have tuned in. If you get somebody to watch the first few minutes of the show with a hook, and then you hook them to continue watching on the show, that's a different story. But if you expect them to be watching a 3-hour-long episode, and then midway through you're just going to incorporate some different elements, they're already watching the 3-hour episode. They're either going to watch it or they're not going to. So you have to, if they want people to tune into these episodes, they need to do things like the way that they're doing it for next week's NXT, which is, look, we're calling it Halloween Havoc. We've got this type of a match. We got a bunch of gimmick matches. We got a House of Hardcore Terrors or whatever the hell that's called.
That is not right, but we'll get
Not
there.
even close. I don't know. It's the Cameron Grimes match. That's all I care about now. Cameron Grimes going up and higher on on my list these days. He goes from, oh my God, I can't stand this dude, to just like, give him my microphone so he can just go, I'm Cameron Grimes. And I'll be like, all right, yeah, you're Cameron Grimes. But that's like, okay, cool. We got 2 title matches. We got, Ripley and Gonzalez doesn't really do anything too much for me, but you got the hardcore House of Moon Steps and whatever match with Cameron Grimes. And like, that's a selling point. It's Halloween Havoc. Now I'll tune in and watch. But if you go, hey, it's Monday Night Raw, we don't know what's happening, watch for 3 hours and you'll find out. Fuck you. You know what I mean? So they should have done the Asuka and Lana match on the pay-per-view. They should have done the Baszler and Jax match on the pay-per-view, because if not, if it's serving no purpose on the pay-per-view and it's serving no purpose on the episode of Raw, then it's serving no purpose, and give me my 20-something minutes back, you know?
And we're well beyond the era of like, hey, call your buddy and tell them what's happening. No, nobody's gonna tell their friend that fucking Shayna and Nia are doing a nothing match.
Right. Now you might call them and be like, hey, look, what just happened? This person got injured or something like that.
Or hey, oh my God, Liv and Ruby just won the belt. If you're a fan of Liv, tune into the show.
Mm-hmm. Or hey, we just had a brand new debut of somebody, or this person just returned or something. Not just, hey, these people that keep beating everybody, they have an impromptu match and they beat everyone.
Is Bob Holly booking this stuff?
He's got an idea.
Give him belt. And then what? Then they beat everybody. All right.
Elias did his concert. We talked about that already. Kofi beat Sheamus. On the next
Hot Tags, we're going to do a full album review, Tony. I'm going to send you the link, and you're going to listen. We're going to do a full review.
Mustafa Ali revealed, finally, that he was the hacker.
Woo!
So they were like, hey, remember that thing that we didn't do anything with? Can we just say that that was the thing and then call it quits? But hey, at least they did. Now, that's the type of thing that makes them, afterward, they go, you see, it was all about long-term storytelling. And then you go, yeah, how long have you had this story? And they go, 10 minutes before the show started. It's like,
I genuinely feel that they had this planned.
Him being a retribution and all that?
I think that they had a stable planned, but then I think they were like, riots, do that on TV, and then we'll figure out a way to circle back. But I think that they had a plan for Ali to be leading a group of hackers, which then became riots. I see riots on the news. Do that on TV.
So that the Riot Squad's going to change their names to the Hacker Squad then to kind of balance it out.
Oh yeah, they're going to be like cyberpunks and everything. It's going to be great.
Yeah. They'll do that shit in movies where they're like, oh, I just need to hack into the database. And it's like, oh, so you just type really fast. That's all you're doing. Just, all right, I'm in. You know, that kind of crap. Like, yeah, that's not how that works. But,
I'm good with it. I don't hate it. I don't hate anything about Retribution right now, except for the fact that they had T-Bar tap out.
I hate the names. I hate the masks. I hate that Mia Yim has nothing going on.
Used to T-Bar.
I haven't.
He's T-Bar.
He's Dominic Dijakovic. Like, that dude has so much promise.
He's T-Bar, Tony. What are you doing, dude? He's T-Bar.
He's not even a D-bag, where you could call him. I don't like that. I don't like how we haven't had anything with Mercedes Martinez. She just got taken out of the group and just fucked off for some reason. Too big of a fan of her for them to just not do nothing with her. Then again, they're not doing anything with Mia Yim anyway. So.
Supposed to be in the group, and they just was like, "Nope, we're gonna save you from this."
I got a feeling Ciampa might have been a part of this. Yeah. Then again, I don't think that they had any plans. So I never could imagine that, you know, weeks before Retribution debuted, that they would have been like, Shane Thorne is going to be a part of this or something. You know?
Have you seen Ciampa's shirt?
No.
I'll send you a link to the new Ciampa shirt. He might have been in Retribution. Because this shirt, he's wearing a mask, and it certainly looks like one that is a Retribution mask.
I always thought that they have been, yep, that looks like a Retribution mask, 100%.
Yes.
Not at all, not a Retribution mask. He's got the hood and everything, too. We'll talk about another masked person when we talk about NXT. But
You think that he was gonna be the leader, and they went, I don't know, Ali. All right, can we tie it into this thing?
yeah,
All right,
I think
well,
that was the case because he hasn't been really doing anything. He's feuding with Kushida and Velveteen Dream in some kind of random feud. I think that he was supposed to be the leader.
yeah, I don't like that feud.
Yeah, me neither. I like the three guys,
Yeah, they're
but you
you
know,
know they're good for what they do, but
yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I liked El Gran Gordo. We talked about that.
No, we're not. You're not gonna put this over.
El Gran Gordo was fine for what it was. If they
You're
kept
not.
doing it, then it would be a different story.
You're
But
not. No, you're not gonna put this over. This is
uh,
dumb.
better character than a lot of other people on these shows.
This is dumb. This is like you don't even care for 5 seconds about your own rules. This was so stupid. I never want to see this again.
Oh, it's not going to happen again. Well, it better not happen
Oh,
again.
he was wearing the exact same cape and mask that they put Mickey James in for the
Really?
La Luchadora. How do
That
you
was
do
the
that?
same one?
How do you do that?
Huh.
Can you explain how you do that? Like, you have so little ingenuity. Fuck.
Maybe it should have been the Calgary Kid instead.
At least that was a different mask.
I loved that Calgary Kid shit when he did that with The Miz.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I love that. That was great. Let's move over to another hot tag here. That's not the TV stuff. We'll bounce around. We'll talk NXT. You know, the rest of SmackDown, that kind of stuff. But there's a really quick thing. Kairi Sane is going to be on the Japanese commentary team for Hell in a Cell.
I want to like say, "Oh, good for her," but also it just seems sad.
Yeah, I mean it's good that she's still a part of the team and the family in some fashion. It sucks that she's just not going to be wrestling anymore, and you know they don't have NXT Japan where she can't just do something over there. Obviously, neither of us are going to be listening to the Japanese commentary. We wouldn't have any idea what they would say anyway, but at least she's kind of still hanging around. It's something.
I hope she does it with Funaki, SmackDown #1 announcer.
Who's the other one? It's Funaki and
Yamaguchi, the brother of the other Yamaguchi.
Shun Yamaguchi, I think is his name.
Right, because Wally was the one that was in Kaintai.
I've memorized a lot of these guys' names, even though I have no idea why. Like Sean Dang.
Yeah. With the Mung Dai, that Graves is just
Mengai and Sean Dang.
I love when Graves goes off on Mengai because he's just like, yeah, I took him to we went to a bonfire and they disappeared with these 3 girls. I didn't see them again until the morning. It's like,
that's just a little side thing. Kairi Sane doing that, like, good for Kairi Sane. Here's something that's a topic that we won't dive as deep into as we could, because it would take forever and it would be like, I don't even know how we would have this type of conversation. But WWE is going to be holding a mandatory total life counseling session about how to maintain a healthy relationship.
we are okay. I want to put this out there. This is a report from Dave Meltzer. This is the most interesting thing I've heard all day. This is apparently, allegedly, in response to the speaking out stuff.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprising if they at least had these ideas when Paige and Del Rio were together either, you know?
It's like, it seems like a good move, but I don't mean this in a way that says WWE is disingenuous. I think that all corporations, when they do this kind of stuff, are disingenuous. It's like, oh well, we really care.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna show a lot of empathy. Like it becomes key buzzwords instead of just being like, hey, I'm here for you. I really care. It becomes, you're so valued.
Yeah,
And
aren't you empowered by this type of conversation we're having?
And I am listening, and like no knock on anybody who wants to feel those exact words and hear those exact words of affirmation. I am all for that. It's just that when corporations do this, it feels soulless.
Yeah, it's the
That
type
is
of thing where a corporation says, like, "You're our family, and we care about you, so you don't have sick days this year because we can't afford it," or you know what I mean? Like, that kinda thing where you're just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a real part of the family, aren't I?" You know, like, we really care about your mental health and your stability and your safety and all that. Can you sign over your rights to your Twitch account? Because nah, we can't have that kinda shit, you know?
I want you to know that we listen to what you have to say. Don't ever think that you can say on a Twitch stream that you got COVID. We don't want people knowing that people over here get COVID. Like it's
Yeah, here at Company Corp, we decided that this is the type of language we want going forward. Isn't that how we want to represent ourselves as a family? Whatever.
okay.
Like, you
So
know.
outside of us bashing corporate speak, which we could do forever, and to be fair and honest, Callum can do it 5 times better than us.
Oh, totally.
Um, I just I want this to have a good outcome, but this feels like the kind of cringe that we will definitely hear about in newsletters or on Fightful or somewhere else in the very near future as like a total train wreck.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a train wreck. Honestly, I think that it's going to be a nothing story. I think that it's the type of thing like when somebody says they're undergoing sensitivity training and it's like, okay, what did they do? They talk to somebody who says words can hurt. And then you go, oh, yeah, I never really realized that. I'm going to try to think more about that. And then they go, well, that's great. I'm sure that you have a better point of view from this whole thing. You're a changed person, aren't you? And you go, yeah, I totally am. I promise I won't say anything like that anymore. Only unless people aren't recording me or I can get away with it in a different fashion, you know, like that kind of thing.
Now, to be fair, we've also come on this very podcast and said, people deserve second chances and people can change. It's just, again, this whole thing has a disingenuous vibe to it.
It feels to me like this is the excuse that we can say to anybody in case we ever have any kind of issues where somebody blames WWE and we could say, well, we sent them to counseling. It's not our fault. It's just
Right.
them covering their asses. And I don't fault them for it. Like corporations, let me put it this way. This is a weird way of phrasing something that sounds positive. Corporations are evil. And
Okay.
they're a necessary evil when it comes to business. And business is separate from morals. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, if your goal is make money no matter what you need to do, you will do whatever you need to do. It's pretty soulless and it's awful, but it's like, well, what are your goals? If your goal is to, for instance, if you want to have a happy family, you can't work all day, every day, and have it be a happy family because people are going to be like, hey, I never see you. You're at work.
If you want to
And
have a sustained family,
yeah, if you want to be able to provide for your family, you got to work and you got to sacrifice the fun that you would have being like a, the fun dad, for instance, or something to do that. If you're the type of person who you're like, I just want to make money and be like, I'm the shit, I'm making so much and I got so much power, you will screw everybody over. You will take candy out of a kid's hand, whatever you need to do. I don't think that's the right thing to do in life, but a business to succeed has to try to operate with that in mind. It's like a business is there to make money. And when a corporation does something like this and it's like, well, that's a means for them to kind of cover their own butts. Yeah, of course they're going to do that. And I don't fault them for it. But it is kind of like, yeah, you know, I hate how we've gotten to a stage where social media and transparencies and everybody wants to talk about the idea that they all want to be like, this is my true self. Yet we have an even bigger barrier, it seems, in some ways when it comes to some other things.
yeah, but we can. This is a different rabbit hole. that we can get sucked down and lost for a
That
long time.
that's why I said, like, this is a topic that we could go a lot deeper on, a whole different
Because
discussions and stuff, because we're scratching the surface at the very
I
least.
will say this, and you and I have had many conversations about, again, the disingenuine vibe, the word disingenuous vibe I get just from social media in general. And in fact, I know this wasn't in your notes, but I'll throw this one out there. Cody Rhodes just said recently, and I think it was the Asbury Park Press, he's like, yeah, I'm going to start talking less. And I also think that Twitter might be dying out as like a viable source of feedback because people just suck. Like that's what he said, but he kind of alluded that, like, yeah, I think the noise is becoming too much. And yes, it is.
That is, it has been. It's always been. I mean, look at the difference between the way that people used to consume media decades ago before we had social media and everything. Like, you got the newspaper, and whoever was dictating the news in the newspaper told you your opinion, and unless you had the ability to kind of question that, it was pretty much just like, oh, well, that's what the news says, so that's what's right. And a lot
How
of
is it that we can understand that though and still fall into the same traps today?
people are stupid. That's People are always going to be stupid, you know. Smart people
Yeah.
are going to question themselves, and stupid people are going to barrel through a life. That's what happens.
I mean, you're not telling a lie here, sir.
Yeah. So if it's a genuine thing that WWE is trying to do to try to help out the talent and everybody else, then that's a good thing. If it's just a corporate thing, I don't blame them for it, but that means that it's kind of just meh. And if it's something that means even less than that, then that's kind of disappointing. But
And also, when we're talking about maintaining healthy relationships, that's just almost establish that these relationships are of a healthy nature to begin with.
yeah,
Like,
maintaining a healthy relationship versus creating a healthy relationship, big difference between those two.
huge difference.
And a lot of people, it's subjective too. Like, Caroline and I, like, we'll tease each other about things. She'll pronounce something in a way that I think is cute, and I'll tease her about it. I'll say something really dumb. Like, here's something that's funny. I'll make fun of myself even more so than anybody else. Why not? She always brings up this one thing that I did one time where I had fallen asleep. And you know how I barely sleep as it is. So when I fall asleep out of nowhere, I typically end up asking her, oh, did I fall asleep? How long was I out? Because my first thought is, how much time did I waste? Which is really sad. Really sad. But
Okay, I think I need to send you to a class about how to maintain healthy relationships.
but she thinks that this story's hilarious. I think it's hilarious too. One time I fell asleep. I woke up, and I woke up like frightened almost. Like, just like like that kind of thing. And I was like, did you just see what happened? There was a potato chip, and it was heading towards my mouth, and the camera was from the inside of my mouth. And I was like, because I was like waking up realizing that this was just like a dream that I had about what it would look like if I could see a potato chip entering my mouth. And it's like, yeah, that's stupid. Like, so a lot of times she'll bust my balls about it, and she'll be like, oh, did you see there's a potato chip was heading in your mouth this time? Where was the camera? Like that, and it's like, to me, that's perfectly fine for a healthy relationship. Like, my feelings aren't hurt about it. It was like, yeah, it was a really dumb thing that I said when I was all sleepy, wasn't it? In another relationship, somebody might be like, oh, they're just teasing me. They really make me feel like garbage or whatever. It's like, there's a difference, Like,
But it's so subjective.
that's
And
that's the
like,
point. Like, so a healthy relationship can be, you tease each other and it's okay, or you support each other in different ways, or you whatever. And then other people are like in a full blown abusive relationship, and they're like, well, it's okay if that person hits me because they were just drinking or something, and you're like, oh, that's not healthy.
I
Like,
like how we jump to extremes on this podcast. That's what we do.
why not? But
So
that's
really, where was the camera?
Oh, it was totally like the inside of my mouth facing outward.
Huh.
That way I could get like, I could see the chip going in.
So it's like when they have a casket match and they put the camera inside the casket so you can see the person fall in.
Totally.
Love it.
It was a quality looking chip too, like a fully like ovular and everything.
How long ago was this dream?
I don't know, 2 years ago.
I like that you could remember the ovularity
Yeah.
of the chip.
It was a memorable chip heading into my mouth. But she, in particular, she thinks it's funny that I asked her, "Did you see what happened when I was waking
Oh,
up?"
did she?
And, like as if that was a real thing, and that that I didn't realize the fact that not only was it not real, but I wasn't chewing on a potato chip at the moment. Like, and why would she have been able to see it? And there's no camera and whatever. But like, yeah, it's like that goes to show you right there. It's like healthy relationship. Bust my balls about that, and I'm like, yeah, that's really stupid. It's funny. Like. Anyway, total life counseling. That's going to be a story potentially
I
in the future.
also think that, this is the last thing I'll say on it. I also think it's important that you can go through an unhealthy relationship and all parties can split, and sometimes you don't need to bring that up. Like sometimes it's better to let everybody grow instead of like, hey, well, I thought about it and I'm really like upset about how abusive this was. Because like sometimes we just all have to admit we've all been through bad things.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes you can be in an unhealthy relationship and there isn't a villain in it either. It's just that you're not a good match.
yeah.
Just the same as, people go for jobs and they'll be like, hey, I'm working as like I don't know. I don't know what. They're working at Burger King. And a couple weeks later, they quit and they're like, yeah, it's not for me. Then they go over to McDonald's and they end up loving it. It's the same thing, but it's like something was off about it. Yeah, it doesn't mean that
Well,
Burger King's awful. It doesn't mean that McDonald's is great.
no, it means that you're always loving it, McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like,
Wendy's is so much better than both of them. So
absolutely.
wouldn't mind eating a thing of some nuggets right now. That'd be pretty tasty. Good old
Chicken
snack
wings
talk.
from White Castle.
I don't
Is
have a
what
White
I'm.
Castle around me.
It's a shame.
Unfortunate. Yeah. Never seen Harold and Kumar either.
Very good movie.
So let's switch over to another topic here. Let's talk a little NXT UK. Now, the show this week, another one of those shows that you did not at all need to watch. It was Eddie Dennis beats Oliver Carter, and then he's like, hey, I probably was the one that attacked Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. And Nina Samuels beat Amel, and there's a contract signing, and Trent Seven beat Kenny Williams. There you go. I saved you a full hour.
Also, Joe Coffey is on his way back.
Yeah, Devlin's on his way back too, but the
Healthy
somewhat bigger.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
What?
Yeah, healthy relationships.
So the other story you were asking me about this, you're like, hey, talk about this because it's something kind of related to other things. NXT UK had what they called a James Bond inspired photo shoot. Could have fooled me.
Well,
There is nothing James Bond about this.
hold on. They're British. They look nice. James Bond.
Could it? Yeah, couldn't have had like, I don't know, maybe they do like the gun barrel pose.
Sasha did one. Sasha did a gun barrel pose and captioned it GoldenEye, and she's not British.
Sasha?
Yeah.
Sasha?
I saw it
Who?
on Instagram.
Oh, Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she wasn't even part of it. I thought you were talking about somebody on the shoot. I'm like, I don't remember
No,
Sasha Banks being part of it.
Like, she did a shoot and she captioned it GoldenEye.
So if she could do that, completely unrelated to the NXT UK James Bond shoot thing, then it's like, yeah, you couldn't have had, I don't know, Ashton Smith, like, pretend to be Bond doing the gun barrel thing or something. Like,
no, how dare you expect them to be logical? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Instead, it's like, here's a male, she's wearing a dress. Here's Isla Dawn, she's also wearing a dress. And for some reason, my Alexa is going off right now because I said a male. Really? I don't know.
No, I think Isla Dawn might have gotten her.
Maybe. But I was like, I looked at this, I looked at every picture, and I was like, okay, where's the Bond stuff come in? Maybe they've got like some dresses and some suits and stuff inspired by whatever, but no, they didn't even have like the more iconic Goldfinger white tux that Sean Connery wore. At least if you pull that off, then it's like, oh, okay, you got that for that. Or, here's this Honey Rider coming out of the ocean wearing the bikini with the knife on the side of it. Then you go, okay, yeah, they're doing a parody of that. It's just a bunch of people sitting around like a study wearing dresses. This could have been Downton Abbey or something for all I know,
Yeah.
Never seen that show,
I've
so I
never
don't
watched
know.
Downton Abbey. I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, I
know
have no
was
idea what it is.
a huge thing, but I never watched it.
I'm still not even sure why it's Downton instead of like downtown.
Why did they say Z instead of Z?
Because everybody's weird.
Yeah.
That's why.
Fair enough.
Fully, if anybody who's like, hey, you Americans do things weird. Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. What the fuck? We're the only country who doesn't say Z or use the metric system.
Yeah, I don't know why. I like that meme that goes around where it says Americans will use any measurement other than the metric system, and it'll be like an article, and it'll say like 3 car lengths of something or whatever, and this one was the size of a small kangaroo and whatever. And it's like, really, you can't just use the metric system. Like, then again, when somebody's like, how much in Celsius is this? And I'm like, I don't know. Fahrenheit.
Celsius is so weird because people be like, oh, it's 23 degrees. It's so hot. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So NXT UK, not much to talk about on the James Bond side of things, but if you want more James Bond talk, you can find that over on fanboysanonymous.com, because that's the geek culture site where I can talk about movies and everything just on a whim. I don't know if I'm going to post anything about that Power Rangers thing or if I'm going to keep that on my own notes, because, that's how those kind of things go sometimes. But if so, you'll find it up on Fanboys as well. I would love to have reviewed No Time to Die at 3 different points this year when they were supposed to come out, but I don't know when it's coming out next year, if it is coming out next year, but eventually No Time to Die will be seen by me and reviewed in some fashion on Fanboys. So stay tuned for more James Bond talk. I'd love to write some more articles and stuff about it too. I mean, the way the 2020 is, it seems like that's the case. Let's talk NXT. Kushida, Ciampa, Dream. We got Ember Moon beat Jessie Kamea. I'm glad that Jessie Kamea is doing some more stuff now. I like her.
I agree.
Bobby Fish was attacked backstage. They didn't see who did it, and Kyle O'Reilly was going to replace him. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Bronson Reed beat Austin Theory. Theory said, no, I want a rematch, and Bronson Reed beat Austin Theory. So,
is he still on my team?
I think he got rid of him. I'm not too sure.
I would. I fucking would. Like,
before he gets 2 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you might have dropped him like 2 weeks ago or so, but I'm not entirely positive.
We're going to check that live on the air, boys. Keep going.
Legado del Fantasma beat Jake Atlas, Isaiah Swerve Scott, and Ashanti the Adonis. Jake Maverick and Killian Dane lost to Everrise by DQ because Maverick used a steel chair, and Killian Dane was all happy about it. He was like, that's the badass kind of stuff that I want you to be doing. And then their theme started playing again, and he was like, oh, what the fuck? And kind of walked away.
I did get rid of him. I traded him for Kofi last week.
Kofi beat Sheamus, so
yeah,
you got 1 win instead of 2. Casey Catanzaro beat Xia Li, who had said she needs to win this match because she needs to win it, and she needs to win it. She needs to win it. She just repeated that like 16 times, and she lost.
Morgan Freeman voice. She did not win it.
She did not. She attacked Casey after the match. Caden Carter tried to help. Didn't work out. And then Raquel Gonzalez beat the 3 of them up and said, hey, remember, I got a match next week. So that's kind of funny.
I dig it.
Roderick Strong. Okay.
Ho Loon is going to come back and set these people straight. Boa, he's going to be slapped around by Ho Loon. Xia Li, maybe the same. I don't know. Can't control how they do things in China.
Roderick Strong was attacked, and the Brit M Brawlers were like, hey, you guys beat us fair and square. You guys should still get a title match. Why don't you pick one of us to be your tag team partner, Kyle? And he's like, nah, screw it. I'm just going to go to the hospital. So William Regal said, fine, then Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan are going to fight Breezango for the tag titles. Timothy Thatcher, he had another one of his classes, this time in the ring with Anthony Green. Been using a lot of Anthony Green and Kurt Stallion lately. It's kind of interesting. And Green decided to fight back a little bit, so Thatcher was like, all right, fuck you, pal. Let's have a match, and beat him by submission. I kind of liked that.
I prefer Josh Briggs to both of these individuals. But yeah.
Since they haven't been using him, I'm assuming that they want to save him for an actual, like,
spot.
He'll be something, instead of just like, here's a guy like Leon Ruff who gets beaten up.
Yep.
Every time I mention Leon Ruff, I have this mental image in my head of Rodney Dangerfield pulling his collar and being like, no, that was rough. You know, just kind of like every single time. Never fails. And then we got the finale of the night, which was the tag title match. And a masked person comes out and screws over Breezango. So Lorcan and Birch are able to do a low blow and win the NXT Tag Team Championship.
Yep.
And this masked person who's wearing a mask that's all silver, which is kind of weird, unmasks himself, and it's Pat McAfee. And he's all like, "Yeah, fuck you, I'm just beating her," which I thought was fucking great.
I love this.
I loved Pat McAfee's match with Adam Cole, and Pat McAfee has been fun in a lot of ways. And I'm like, oh, sweet, we got Pat McAfee back. This is great. I don't know why he would screw over Breezango.
Because he's working with Lorcan and Birch.
I'm assuming Lorcan and Birch are the backup plan, that originally was supposed to just be Ridge Holland, and that they weren't.
Think it was supposed to be 4 of them.
That you think they were going to go with Stable?
Mm-hmm.
Huh, maybe.
Tony, it's about that time of the year that William Regal needs to yell, "War Games!"
War Games! Now I don't know what they would do. I mean, it's Birch, Lorcan, and McAfee, and blank.
You turn Bronson Reed. Because he's a big boy.
They would need to put somebody in that. Actually, let me bring up the roster right now. I'll go to the handy dandy roster page on smarkoutmovement.com, and I'll look at this thing on there. I mean, we can't get certain people in there. Like, they're not setting up Adam Cole, Austin Theory to be in that kind of a role. Certainly would not be a good fit for Cameron Grimes. Chase Parker, no. I can't imagine that they would turn like Damian Priest and put him in that spot. Killian Dane's doing his thing or whatever. Ridge Holland really was the best person for that. Ciampa wouldn't work. Dream wouldn't work. Not Escobar. They can't do Pete Dunne. He wouldn't work anyway. Wow, who would they put on that?
Turn Bronson Reed. I just said it.
It might have to be, because there's really not anybody else. There's other options. It's not like Gargano would fit. Desmond Troy, no.
I almost legit just asked, well, what happened to Dijak?
He got a contract, apparently, to beat up people and ruin the company. Maybe Brendan Vink? He's not doing anything. He's kind of tall.
Where's fucking Rinku and the other one?
Indus Sher?
Yeah.
The tag team of Indus Sher, which is also referred to as the tag team of Bivens Enterprises, which is comprised of Saurav Gurjar and Rinku Singh and Malcolm Bivens, who have not been seen more than 3 weeks in their whole entire career, it seems.
Right.
Yeah. Well, at that point, you're past the 4. Unless McAfee doesn't wrestle. But then that's kind of the whole point.
So what I would really just like either take Reed, turn him heel, or maybe what's Dave Mastiff doing? Have they fixed the travel yet?
Massive Dave Mastiff.
Can he come over and just be massive?
I don't know who else they could put in there. Yeah, Brendan Vink is the only one I can think of, and that's not going to like really make anything like a big splash. It's not like people are going to be like, "Oh no, Brendan Vink's in that." Like they would have to just they'd have to do something else with him. But Ridge Holland really was the go-to option for that. Maybe they turn Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, they could if they really, really need to, and they don't want to use
Reed.
Anybody else.
I can't think of any other kind of alternative option to that. I mean, they could technically put like somebody from Raw or SmackDown to just bring them over if they really wanted to. They could technically bring somebody up from the Performance Center side of things, but even at the Performance Center stuff, I don't know if any of these people are big or imposing or...
Hey, WWE, fix your roster page, bro. It's wildly out of date.
No,
Like,
if you want to use a good reference, WWE, go to smarkatmoment.com. It's actually fully up to date. Maybe that's where they get Josh Briggs in here. He's kind of big, right?
Yeah, he's pretty big. I'll take it.
I'd be okay with that. I mean, I don't know much about Josh Briggs, so I can't be like, it's perfect for him, in a lot of other capacities, but they got Big Jordan on Raw as the enforcer for AJ, so they
this
can't
would have
really...
been a good spot for Big Jordan.
Yeah, it could have worked. But yeah, I like the idea of Pat McAfee being back. And, if they end up having a situation where they can't have Finn Balor win the championship, retain the championship and keep that going and everything, then I wouldn't mind Pat McAfee winning it for a short spot and dropping it to Kyle O'Reilly. I don't really want them to hot potato it, but they've hot potatoed it for the past 3 people. It's not like that would really change too much.
That's fair. I'd be okay with it,
Yeah. So something to keep in mind. I like the idea that this is happening to begin with, just in general.
And I like Lorcan and Birch. They're fucking great. I remember one time, I don't remember what the takeover was, maybe it was Brooklyn, where they fought Roddy and Kyle, and you were like, this is gonna suck. And Cal, and then I flat out told you no, and that match was the best match on the show.
Yeah. They are quality hands at the very, very least. And I think that Oney Lorcan is a fun guy to just sort of follow, like, his insanity, because he's fucking nuts. I liked it, though. I think that that's one of those scenarios where it's not going to be as good as they were hoping that it would be because of the whole situation with the Rich Holland injury. But hey, it's still going to be something that's pretty interesting because Pat McAfee's there and Pat McAfee's cool.
Agreed.
Let's move over to... I guess let's go AEW.
You want to Phoenix, Tony?
Yeah, let's talk about that one first. Did you like or hate or think nothing of Le Dinner Debonair?
So here's my compromise. I liked this from these two gentlemen. These two men pulled it off. Never, ever, 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 ever do it again with anybody.
Yeah.
This was a one and done that they can get away with. And you can only get away with it because you're in the COVID era. I might even argue maybe it's even a little too late in the COVID era to get away with this. But like back in March, I think people would have eaten this up. I thought it was fine. They're clearly doing the bit where it's like, hey, we're both singers and we're so talented and I get it. However, I just wanted wrestling and I just wanted steak, bro. And like the 20-ounce porterhouse, well done. Who orders a steak well done?
Well, they ended up going from well done all the way to blue.
Yeah.
Which can't eat blue. I'd rather get well done than blue,
I mean, if you eat blue, you will dabba dee dabba die.
Good song. I think I have like 5 versions of that. I'm a medium well guy myself.
Medium rare.
And I liked the bit, but I agree with you. You can't do it again.
Ever.
And you can't do something too similar to it ever again. This can't be the type of thing where it's like, okay, now this is a running gag. Here's the comparison that I think is like the best that I can kind of mix in here. Do you remember Family Guy's Shibupi?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Remember how fucking annoying that was?
Because it went on for way too long.
It was a 10-second joke that was on for like 6 minutes of a 22-minute episode.
That's a real song.
They did the full thing.
That's a full song. That is just obnoxiously long. And this was obnoxiously long.
I like when a certain joke can be kind of self-referential. I like when jokes can be kind of like, wow, this went to almost an annoying level, then it came back or whatever. Like, I did like the original instance of Peter Griffin hurting his shin or his knee or whatever it was, or his ankle, where he's just like that, like that went on long enough that I was like, wow, this is funny because it's annoying. But then they started to do it like multiple times, and it's like, yeah, I remember that joke.
It's literally like, Family Guy though.
Mm-hmm.
Like Family Guy's whole problem. I watched some old Family Guy not that long ago. Hysterical. But when they get to the level of, well, let's just do a bit for the sake of doing a bit.
Yeah, like the Conway Twitty thing.
Oh God, that's one of the worst.
Family Guy runs into the same issue as most comedians do. When they get popular for something, they beat it into the ground. Jim Gaffigan, hilarious. Jim Gaffigan, after he got more popular, not funny.
Lewis Black.
Lewis Black was my next option. I was going to say, literally, I almost got the L out before you said it. He went from, this dude's funny, to, oh, he's the angry guy, and all he does is yell.
I do love the candy corn bit, especially around Halloween.
Because that's a good bit. You know? And it's like, that in and of itself is a good bit. But when your bit is, I'm angry, fucking mad, then you're like, hey, he's the angry guy. Oh, I fucking get it. It's the lowest common denominator shit. That's why I can't stand something like Larry the Cable Guy. He's had some good jokes that I've heard in the past, but he is just pretty much, remember my catchphrase, it's get her done. I said the thing. Like, you know, it's kind of like, all right, well, then you got the bottom feeders that are just sort of like, oh, he said the thing, you know? And it's like,
here's a good one. We'll bring it back to wrestling. DX.
Yeah, DX was great at first.
97, 98 DX is funny. Like, DX, even in the latter portions of 98, where it becomes, hey, are we going to point to our dick? And hey, we're going to show our ass? Not as funny. DX in I was going to say like 2012.
2006.
but 2020, where they're like, hey, we're the guys who tell you to suck it, but we can't tell you to suck it, but we're going to point at our crotch. Very weird. I never want to see this again.
Yeah.
I liked it. Don't ever do it again.
And I don't really love this type of stuff to begin with. Like, I am not a fan of I don't know if there's a word specifically for it. There might be. If you know, drop a comment and tell me. But I don't like, this is gonna sound really weird. This is the only thing I can think of how to explain this. I don't like showmanship. Like,
you don't like camp.
I don't like camp. I don't like big band music. I don't like
so old. You're literally saying like you don't like Rat Pack style humor.
I don't like old timey almost anything. Like,
really?
I think really like almost anything. Old music. There's like maybe, unless you're talking about, you know, like classical music is like older than that kind of, you know, older than dirt.
I'm like, surprised because you strike me as a guy who would enjoy a good Dean Martin joke or two.
I do and I don't. That's where the balance is. I like it when somebody can be like, they can take a shot and bust somebody's balls and do some kind of like, you know, good natured ribbing. But I don't like the things where it's like the old timey acting. I've talked about it before, where the whole like, well, let me tell you something there. You know, we're gonna talk about this. So we're gonna go round and round, like that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, so that is pretty much like, let's go over the top because you're too stupid to realize that we're not doing this thing unless we're doing it super obnoxiously. And old timey intros for TV shows are all like, you know, it's a show. You're watching this, and I have no interest in ever in my entire life. Literally ever. I could be on my deathbed and be like, oh, what are your regrets? And I'll be like, well, it certainly wasn't this. I will never want to go to a Las Vegas show of like the can dancers or anything like that, because it's like they've got a bunch of bright costumes on and they're just making noise and being loud and bright. Who the fuck cares? Old timey movies that are all like, this is a movie and it's whatever because the guy's dancing in it and they're singing a song or whatever. That's not a movie. That's a show. And if I
So
wanted a show, I'd watch a show, and I don't like shows, So it's like,
I get what you're saying, but
yeah,
I also feel like it's a product of the time, you know?
to a certain
Like
extent. I mean, some people
like
love that kind of stuff, even
like
if
the
they're like,
Marx Brothers, like the kind of round and round that you're talking about. That's a product of the time. They're going to see a show, and isn't it funny that this is such a show, and we're putting on a show, and like you said, they're beating you over the head with it because they want you to know that like it's phony.
the old picture shows. I'm in the
And this
pictures now.
but that's a perfect tie into this because this beats you over the head with the fucking fact that wrestling is fake. And I will
Yeah.
do the whole Jim Cornette bit of like, God damn, man. Does
Goddamn.
everybody I didn't even mean to go there exactly, but does everybody have to fucking beat you over the head that it's fake all the time?
Like, I like it more so when WWE does a wink and a nod, where you might not catch it if you're not up to speed. Like, this is the first example I can think of. When Triple H is like, hey, hold on a second. Weren't you supposed to be Jamaican? What happened to your accent?
That's
That
that's funny.
I thought was amazing. But when you do something a little bit more along the lines like this, it's like, okay, you can't not realize how fake it is, because the joke is you were expecting us to fight and we're feuding over nonsense because it's not an actual feud. It's just whatever. And haha, we got you. We're actually doing do a sing and dance number or whatever. I liked it, despite the fact that I hate this kind of stuff. I hate the whole, like, we got a bunch of dancers and they all were like these pretty girls that had these beaming smiles, because it's like, remember, honey, if you got your cheeks up really high and you got your rosy cheeks on and you're smiling as big as you can, then that's what people want to see here, like that kind of thing. I would, if somebody said this was a legit thing, I'd be like, this is the worst thing ever. But the fact that it's a joke about that, I thought was funny. But even more so, and this is where it comes into the idea that you said, like, you think that I would like that kind of humor or whatever. I liked that it was bookended with the steak joke about this idea of like, oh, we're going to do this dick measuring contest. But out of everything, it's the idea of, well, I can eat my steak less cooked than you. And ultimately, at the end of this whole big long thing, it's like, ew, these steaks aren't fucking cooked. We need to send this back, whatever. That's like, yeah, that's the way that's like, bump at the end of the thing. And it's like stupid and silly and whatever. But I was like, they went back and they did that. That's what an old timey thing used to do. I liked that.
They didn't need to sing. They didn't need to sing. Like, look, I thought it was funny. But if you're gonna ask me my legitimate opinion, they did not need to sing. Why? Why are you literally breaking out into show tunes? Where is the music coming from? Why are we accepting that this is a reality that you live in?
2020.
I almost think, again, not to be too cornet, but like, can we come back from this? Or is wrestling as we knew it just dead?
I think AEW, again, they've got too many cooks in the kitchen
Oh,
trying to figure out
we haven't
about.
even touched my biggest problem with them yet. But like, this was just it was so sports entertainment that it made Cody Rhodes, or this is probably one of the things that made Cody Rhodes probably say the thing of, I'm sorry, I spoke way too much in the beginning about what this thing was going to be. Because, like,
Well, I mean, they gave off the impression that it was going to be a sports based thing. And it's like, well, you have no sports based mentality when it comes to this anymore. You got a ranking
yeah.
system. Okay, that's it.
No, 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 no. No. They don't have a ranking system. They have a farce.
They have a pretend ranking system.
They have a farce, Tony.
They
They
keep
have a
track of the
farce.
rankings.
Why?
I don't know why. It doesn't really serve that much of a purpose, but they do keep track of them. But it is weird. It's jarring when you got like the episode is like, Wardlow fights Jungle Boy and like you're setting up, Kenny Omega is the cleaner now and he whoops the shit out of Sonny Kiss and whatever. Then it's like, let's do the song and dance thing and then go back into like, Young Bucks against FTR in some fashion. Like it is jarring. I did have more fun watching the dinner segment than, for instance, sitting through Britt Baker versus Kylan King. Like I just skipped that because I was like, I don't care.
How can you not care about the Good Doctor?
I skipped that. I skipped
Britt Baker's fun.
It's too hard to watch Dynamite after NXT. I skipped the
Stop doing that.
The Phoenix and Penta match.
Stop trying to watch Dynamite after NXT. Watch them separate.
I gotta get up the results.
Get somebody else to do that. I'm not gonna give you let's how to run your business on the air, but like, God, get somebody else to do that.
Well, thankfully Dallas covers it for Smark at moment, but I gotta put it up for the Ring Report. So.
Oh, for God's sake!
Well, that might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But it's. There's positives, there's negatives. To me, I couldn't care less that Steve-O's there with Darby Allin and he decides to roll himself through a half pipe and a body bag. I'm like, all right, do it, you idiot. It's kind of like...
Lauren Hayes on the Fightful poster asked me, Robert, do you have any comments here? I just went, welcome to Jackass. Like, what do you want from me here? It's cool that Darby Allin wants to throw us all back into the mid-2000s. There's a part of me that's like, I'm here for that nostalgia. But at the same time, why the fuck are you rolling down a half pipe in a body bag?
Yeah, why?
And Jim Ross, I'm convinced he's not as happy at his job as he lets on. Because you can visibly tell when he's annoyed by something.
And like when he has to transition over to picture-in-picture.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, the legendary restaurant quality picture-in-picture right here. It's like,
it's happening now.
And with his Darby Allin thing, he just goes, sorry, it doesn't look fun to me. Like, just...
It's like that horse from Ren and Stimpy. No, sir, I didn't like it. Well, you know what else is something that somebody doesn't like? Getting injured. We got Alex Reynolds getting knocked out on the show.
He was okay. He's okay.
I'm watching that match for the portion of it that I was watching, and I'm like, yeah, he got knocked out.
I didn't see this when I watched it. He was fucking out.
Totally out. The Blade, I think it was like he dragged him over to the corner and was trying to hold up his hand to do a tag to get out,
and he
like
just tagged himself, and he's just like that. He's
out of it,
completely cold.
It's just
thankfully he's fine.
He got injured. Rey Fenix apparently is injured.
Yeah, he's at least out of the tournament.
And Abadon is injured.
So Rey Fenix is vacating his spot to Penta. Penta will face Kenny Omega next week, but also next week, because it was taped yesterday, Abadon fought Tanara Conchi. And apparently, according to Figure 4 Wrestling Online, she was badly injured and had to be taken to the hospital.
No clarification of what badly injured means?
Correct.
So that could be neck injury, it could be, bone popping out of something, like a Rich Swann situation or whatever.
For some reason, leg injury came to mind. I want to petition to just stop doing wrestling shows for a little bit. I just do. Like, it's such a snake bitten time, and it sucks when these people are getting injured in front of damn near nobody, man.
Legitimately, if this was not how I was earning money, I would be like, you know what? Let's not have any wrestling at all. Like, I could use a break.
I mean, I'm also earning money this way, but it's also like we have other ways we can earn money through this. We can always break down podcasts and like do stuff like that. You can always write editorials about hypotheticals. Do we need to see these people get hurt?
Well, maybe it's not necessarily the fact that they're still wrestling. Maybe it's just the fact that like something has a dark cloud over this year.
Yeah, and I definitely feel that.
Like, is there any aspect of any part of any life, it seems, going on happening this year that doesn't seem like it's been snake bit in some fashion?
Nah, I feel you. It's all snake bitten. I said to somebody recently that this year stopped being like tolerable after the Last Ride documentary ended, and that is just went to shit.
Pretty much. I mean, my year started off bad, but it's just like
Oh, that's the point where Siri just told me that she doesn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah, that's the AEW side of things. Last thing
Hold
to
on,
wrap up
no,
here.
it's not. You didn't even touch on Moxley.
What about him?
Eddie Kingston is mad that John Moxley went to WWE, apparently, even though Moxley's openly admitted that it was a failure and like he hated it there. Eddie Kingston's mad, and because they have a ranking system that means so much, Eddie Kingston will be facing the world champion at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, Kingston currently
match.
not in the top 5.
And he's gonna have a wrestling match for the championship at the pay-per-view.
Despite losing already.
Despite losing already because rankings.
Yeah.
I wanted to get that off my chest. Now then, do I think they'll have a great I Quit match? Sure I do. Do I think that the story for their feud is stupid? Of course I do. Why are you so mad that he went to WWE, man?
Because he wished that he would have gone.
But that's what it is, and it's stupid. You're on the same level now. What are you calling him a hypocrite for? He left.
Yeah.
The hypocrites are the ones that are still there.
Yeah,
Stupid.
so that's the AEW side of things. The rest of the SmackDown stuff that I liked. I didn't like everything on SmackDown. I don't want to give off that impression, but I did like this SmackDown episode overall. I thought it was kind of funny that they started off the show with Kevin Owens asking Daniel Bryan if they could be a tag team, and he thinks that their tag team name would be Hell KO. He's like, that would mean you're tagging with Kane. Like, well, that was kind of funny.
Bryan is very good. Bryan is like good dry humor because he's not supposed to be funny.
He's the straight man who's funny, oddly.
Yeah. I enjoyed the fact that Bryan both said the Intercontinental Championship should be defended every week, and then said, "Yeah, we could be a tag team. You know, I'll do everything."
On the same night that he said, "I'm not really doing this as much anymore."
I know, because he's like, "Oh yeah, you know, I kind of want it to be about Montez Ford."
Yeah.
Okay,
and Montez Ford's like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm not saying anything, but I'm here." I like the whole thing where he's like, after they won the 6-man or the 8-man tag match, he's like, "All right, yeah, fist me, guys."
It's like, I am with it. I am here.
I'm up in the smoke or something. I think he said.
I'm up in the smoke. Yeah, fist me.
Yeah, I like. It's silly, it's stupid, but I laughed. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny.
Bianca Belair beat Zelina Vega. We've seen that a couple times this year, so it's nothing surprising.
We're gonna see it a lot more, and here's why. Zelina is small. Bianca is strong. It's fun to watch her throw Zelina around.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's not like there's a whole lot of other options that they have on SmackDown anyway. They don't have a big division. Then we got Kayla Braxton talking to Shorty G, and she's like, "The fuck? What are you doing? Why are you challenging Lars Sullivan?" And he's like, "Because if I don't, then like, what else am I gonna do? Essentially, I didn't get drafted until super late, and that kind of sucks." So Lars Sullivan comes out, beats the shit out of him, and Shorty G says, "I quit." Then backstage, Adam Pearce is like, "You really quit, dude? Like, really?" And he goes, "Yeah, I quit being Shorty G," which is the stupid Cody Rhodes. My answer to that is no. And then
no regrets.
20 minutes later, no regrets for this because I'm. It's like it's done a little bit better because he's like, yeah, I quit being this, I quit being that, I quit whatever.
I thought this was good because I believed it.
He's like, I'm tired of telling people that they can do whatever they want to do and they can achieve their goals no matter what because they can't. So the only person that can do it is an Olympian, and he was able to do stuff in the past, and that guy's name is Chad Gable. And it's like, all right, good, you're Chad Gable again. Thank God. Now, can you stop wearing this stupid outfit?
Yeah, yep, get some good gear.
Yep.
Grow your hair back out even. Get Jason Jordan to be cleared, and let's go.
Or you know what? Tag him up with Apollo Crews. Go back to what it was a year ago. Because around this time last year, that was their plan. Tag him up with Apollo.
Tag team. Either get Jordan or just don't, or just go solo.
But at least he's going to be Chad Gable again. That's a positive step. Rollins had a whole thing with Murphy. Aaliyah's like, no, don't stop attacking Murphy, whatever. And Dominic's like, yo, what the hell? And Ray's like, yeah, this is the same shit every single week. Why are we surprised? That was the thing. Bayley was forced to sign the contract for the match that had already been announced, one of the few matches that had been announced. Kind of liked it, kind of didn't. It was a thing. And the best part of that whole stuff that we haven't talked about yet, because I think the best part of the night was Law and Otis. Roman Reigns comes out, and there's a Titantron video popping up, and it's Jimmy Uso as opposed to Jey Uso. And there was this setting up a distraction, so Jey Uso can attack Roman Reigns from behind. And they eventually announced the stipulation for the Hell in a Cell match. And it's exactly what we thought that it was going to be, with a slight tweak. The idea is, if Jey Uso, which he won't, is able to make Roman Reigns tap and say, I quit, which, again, he won't, then he loses the championship, and he's like, and that proves that I'm not the tribal chief, and I'm fine with that. But when Jey Uso loses, and he will, if he's got two options. He and Jimmy, because now you looped your brother into this. I thought that was good. Which
was genius.
Yeah, that whole idea of like, you're ruining other people because of this nonsense. Fuck you all.
And it puts them right back on the same playing field.
Yeah.
It puts the Usos right back together.
He says, when you lose, you have two options. You either follow my orders and fall in line and respect me, call me tribal chief, do your fucking job, that kind of thing, or you're out of the family. And not only you, but Jimmy is, and your family, and your kids, and your kids' kids.
And your wives and your kids. So at this point, immediately after this, I said, Naomi needs to go back to SmackDown and also kind of be looped into this Roman Reigns clan thing.
I don't know if they'll really bring that much into it. I don't think that they're going to want to have Naomi follow suit, but I do think that this is leading to the Usos are going to flank Roman, and they're going to be heels down the line. And
until Roman steps up to the Rock, and they can just totally fucking betray his ass and
maybe,
kick him in the face.
But I'm also...
But it's going to be good.
It also made me think, hey, Usos, probably the ones that can beat the Street Profits.
Yep.
Whether or not they're heels, I mean, it could just be like, all right, I've got gold. You need gold. Go get it. Tribal Chief has spoken. That kind of thing.
I am here for it.
I loved it.
I'm here for all of it, man.
So yeah, that was WWE this week. Other than the fact that, we got this pay-per-view, we got multiple more matches that we don't know what's going to end up happening on there. Let's just double check WWE.com, because the way that they are, wouldn't shock me if there's like 3 more matches announced and it's just like, hey, it's 1 a.m. or something. Right now it's not looking like that's necessarily the thing. It's just 205 Live updates, which again, nobody really pays that much attention to.
Be nice.
And I mean, I watch it, but again, I'm one of the few. Nope, no differences for anything else, so no matches announced other than that Otis and Miz one. But you got an update. You got an hour and a half of some different talk. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Got an hour and a half of us going off on different things.
So, yeah, I can't think of anything else to talk about here.
Maybe soon down the line you get a dark cast to be bullshit about mozzarella sticks.
Maybe. Oh man, I could go for some mozzarella sticks right now.
I've already decided that that's what I'm eating again tomorrow.
Mozzarella sticks are great.
Oh, they're so fucking good.
If you like mozzarella sticks, hit that like button on the video. Doesn't really translate, but why not? I did most of my plugs. I will mention what really quickly though that we also have the Champs Giving tournament going on right now. The qualifying round is up on the site. If you look on the sidebar on the right, you will see a link to the qualifying round. You could also, of course, find it on like the homepage and by looking on the little part of the menu, navigation, and all that. But you get to pick the 16 superstars who are going to be on the bracket for this tournament. That's what the qualifying round is going to be. And next week, next Friday or so, probably Friday is when I'll update it, we will have the brackets established. It's going to be seeded based off of the votes that are happening on this, plus the randomizer, the way that I typically just put it in the random generator. And carrying on throughout the rest of the month. And it'll be ending on Thanksgiving. So on Black Friday or on the Saturday after Thanksgiving is when we'll do the tournament recap and review the whole thing. But go ahead and vote while you can on each round, each and every week. And we will follow through with the rest of this week with some of the other stuff that's going on. The next time you're going to be hearing from us is later on today with the next episode of the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast.
Yes, and that will feature myself and Callum Wiggins talking about the fallout of No Mercy 2002 because the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast covers every episode of SmackDown from 2002 and 2003 where Paul Heyman is the lead writer. This will feature a very big addition to the 2002 SmackDown roster. This will feature a very passionate Al Wilson and Dawn Marie segment. And this will feature some very, very, very good wrestling.
Anything else you want to plug?
I could plug things. I got plugs. You can follow me on Twitter at Dude Fleece. It is a big wrestling weekend. It is Bound for Glory. It is Hell in a Cell. So check out Fightful.com. That's where I'll be all weekend over with Sean Ross Sapp, giving you all the scoops. And we'll be talking about Bound for Glory. We'll be talking Hell in a Cell. We'll be talking Shorty G name changes, other cell matches. It'll all be there on Fightful Select. I'm terrible at this job. I don't know how you do it all the time. Yeah, so check out Fightful, check out WrestleZone, because that's where I spend the bulk of my days as well. Listen, if you're going to pay me money to write about wrestling, I will do it. If I have an empty hour, that hour will be filled by ways to make money. That's what I'm saying. And if you want to make money, Tony, you need to send them to the t-shirt shops.
Yeah, merchandise shops, as I mentioned before, TeePublic and Redbubble. Check them out. Pick up something if you're interested in the design, slap it on whatever different products we got on there. Lots of different varieties of different things going on. I'm pretty sure that's even on sale right now, so go ahead and double check that. There's sales going on all the time.
The man has a wedding to pay for. I'll say it. You don't have to say it. The man has a wedding to pay for. Let's get him some wedding money.
It is getting more and more and more expensive to the point where I'm like, oh, God, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this because apparently everybody is just like, oh yeah, I could do that service for like $1,000, and you're like, God damn it, really? Like everything? Like you got 10 things going on, and you're spending 10 grand. It's like I don't have that money, you know. I don't know what's gonna happen with this.
Relax, it's a year away. You're not even gonna be alive in 3 weeks.
Okay. Probably. If maybe I was gonna say maybe I'll start like I don't know, selling my organs, but then I'm like, oh, I don't have a pulse, so I don't think anybody's going to want the organs of somebody who's like, yeah, he's sleep deprived and he can't feel his pulse and he sometimes can't breathe a full breath. And
or you definitely want those organs because you got some kind of Superman shit going on.
Maybe some kind of robotic. I don't know. Does not compute. So Yeah, if you, I don't know, maybe I'll do a wedding fund at some point. Maybe I'll do a charity marathon wedding thing or something, and be like, hey, if you want to, toss some spare change,
Mango's marriage marathon. We just sit and we talk about Mabel. Mango's
Mango's Mabel marriage marathon mania.
Let's do it. At some point in the next few months, you'll get the and the and the might also have an extra of Sermo.
Actually, you know what? Not that I'm saying like, oh, this is going to happen. I don't want to get off the impression that I'm going, actually, yeah, next week we're going to do that. Legitimately, I'll think on the air about this. If you think that it would be something that would be interesting to have like a Twitch setup, or to have like a thing live on YouTube or whatever for some kind of a marathon in some fashion, that could be some kind of like GoFundMe type of thing or something. If you think you'd be a part of that, let me know in the comments below, because I would consider doing something, whether it was like on the fanboys side of things, like maybe watching some of those movies for doing the Mr. Smark, maybe do like some live commentary things or something, like a live watch party for some movies, or to do that with some wrestling shows. Obviously, I can't provide like the actual content on like a YouTube thing or something, because that's just, copyright issues. But like, if it could be like, oh, if you sync up your time codes, like, at this time we're at this part of the movie or something, like, might be able to get something like that going on. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that a couple times over the next year.
I'm always down for some more content. And I told Caroline flat out, this is like one thing with people that I'm genuinely looking forward to doing, is going to your wedding. So, well, let's make it happen.
Yeah. So if you, I don't know, if you want to lend a hand, go ahead, because this wedding stuff is, ugh. But at the very least, we got that's a couple months away from now, and the next thing that's going to be happening is going to be the whole post-show content and the pay-per-view coverage of Hell in a Cell on Sunday. For better or worse, we're going to be covering that. And then next week, the main event is going to be that AEW roster tier list that we've been teasing for 2 months or so at this point, maybe even longer. We're finally going to do it. And even if something happens that's weird, where it's like, oh, we should probably talk about whatever, then that'll probably be a bonus thing. Like, we're doing this roster tier list thing. We're getting it out of the way. We're doing that. And then we're going to follow along with the rest of the stuff throughout the rest of the year. I put that up on the Mega Maniacs, a little schedule kind of update about what I got planned for the things coming up in the future. Some stuff along the lines of Superstar Scores Undertaker. We got the stuff that's obviously pay-per-views coming up, and so on and so forth. So if you enjoyed this and you're brand new, stick around, hit that subscribe button, ring that little notification bell, be aware of when we go and do things, when we go live, if we go live, if we do anything that's like that, and just sort of hang around, have fun, and see what else is happening on the website and on the YouTube channel. But at least for now, that's going to do us in for this episode. So again, thanks for listening, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.